It's time for Cutting Edge Consciousness with Freeman Michaels and Barnet Bain. Thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
And welcome to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Freeman Michaels here.
With Barnet Bain. Good moment.
I never complain about my microphone. That's your job. But mine's floppy today. I keep trying to get it to work, and it keeps dropping on me.
I like that you're representing, though. Let me see if I can get my microphone.
Don't. I worked so hard to get it. No.
There we go. There we go. So now it's reasonably sort of like near my mouth. Because I always come by at the end of the show. Not that we're complaining about our mics, about our fantastic gear here at KVTA. But it's great when the mic is at mouth level.
It is.
It's good for your neck. It's good for. So you're flopping there, huh?
It's a little floppy. I'm going to get through it. So you're awake now because we did a little video of you.
I am sort of awake. Oh, you did.
You were taking a little nap. Hope you were having a nice dream.
You videoed that, did you?
I did.
That's good. What did you do with that?
I haven't done anything with it yet. But by the time this airs,
yes,
I will have done something exciting with it.
It will have been seen by 15, 20 people.
At least. Our huge audience. Oh, my goodness.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks.
I know. You've been off playing.
I was off. You know, I have to share this with you. I was in Croatia. I had a great time. So I go swimming in this fantastic, fantastic park, most gorgeous park with waterfalls and this freezing gorgeous lake. And the lake is packed. It's like they've stocked it with fish, only they're all humans. It is packed. It's packed. But it's definitely not Southern California, like the beach in Southern California.
Right. You
know, there is like no such thing as a tan.
Right.
We're in Croatia, right? Everybody is there is from like Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Serbia. It's hysterical. So there's no such thing as a tan. And when I look around and I am the most fit person on the beach, it's
that's rough.
That's a real. Well, it's not so rough. It's actually pretty good.
It's feeling good about
it's pretty
himself.
good. I'm thinking of spending more time there.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's great. We had a lot of fun. It was a really great visit and fabulous country. Beautiful, beautiful people.
Yeah.
Really gorgeous.
A lot of cool friends.
A lot of cool friends. Yes, sir.
Speaking of friends, we have a friend today.
We do.
Yep. My friend.
Tell me about him.
Well, Dr. Michael Lennox is one of America's most recognized and respected dream experts. He's the author of Dream Sight, a dictionary and guide for interpreting any dream. And he's a seasoned media professional, co-starring on the sci-fi network's The Dream Team with Annabelle and Michael, for which he filmed 65 episodes back in 2003, 2004 time frame. Since then, he's also been featured on the Emmy Award-winning reality show, Starting Over, Soap Network's Soap Talk, MTV's Myths and Urban Legends, National Lampoon's Editor's Desk, and The Wayne Brady Show. He frequently appears on radio, often reoccurring regularly. For example, the Sirius Satellite Playboy channel, The Mark and Brian Show here in LA, and a whole slew of other top shows. And he's in print all over the place. One of my most notable one of my favorite of his most notable print gigs was when he was in TV Guide, interpreting the dreams of the Soprano character, Tony Soprano. And most importantly,
no, wait, there's more.
There's more.
No, wait.
He and I did a show together for like a year called Perchance to Dream. So
I remember.
He's a dear friend. And welcome to the show, Michael.
It is a great pleasure to be here.
We finally got you in. My goodness.
Looking forward.
That was a delay.
So Michael, you have any good dreams lately?
Yeah, I did. I had a dream last night that I was riding around in a wheelchair with my barber.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
What the heck does that mean?
Well, I don't want to tell any tales out of school, but, you know, my barber's this hot chick named Bethany Brune.
So it's Barbarella.
That's her brand.
Yeah.
You know Barbarella?
No, I don't. But if next time I need to get
anyway.
Well, you know, we have a dream guy and a psychic. It sounds like a show.
There you go. There you go. So that was my dream last night, riding around, having a blast, actually. Even though the wheelchair was clearly impeding our forward movement, somehow we were still enjoying ourselves.
What did you dream last night, Barnett?
I don't think we should abandon this quite yet.
Barnett wants to know more about the hot chick barber in the wheelchair.
I'm hearing things,
Yeah.
and I don't want to put together the pieces because dreams are and individual. But I am hearing certain suggestions of directions that might be interesting to pursue.
I think Barnett wants to flip roles. Today, Barnett is going to interpret the dream expert's dream.
That's it. Let's dream the dreamer. So you were in a wheelchair with Barbarella.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
And where were you trying to get to so quickly?
Well, I don't know. Like, the dream didn't really reveal, at least in my memory of it upon waking, exactly where we were trying to get to go. But it was definitely a sense of crowded thoroughfare. It was urban, and it was fast-moving. And we were definitely impeded by being in the wheelchair. It was also clear that neither of us were in the wheelchair because we couldn't walk, so there was something like an added limitation. The wheelchair was definitely an added limitation. And because neither of us were wheelchair experts, we were kind of careening around.
But you got to park anywhere.
Embankments and not getting where we wanted to go. So,
Michael, not all movement has to do with velocity and direction. Sometimes it is an indication of emotional direction or imaginal direction.
You're good, Barnett.
Well, this is not my first barbecue here, and I'm prepped up because I knew we were having an expert on, and I didn't want to look too shabby. So before we let this go, with apologies to Barbarella, what are you trying to get together there with Barbarella? What's happening there with you and your barber?
Well, besides the fact that she's a hot chick and a lot of fun, what the takeaway for me is to start with, as you pointed out, the velocity piece or the movement piece, that there's something that I'm looking at in my dream state about how fast or inhibited I am in my movement.
Or
Wow.
clipped, hair clipped.
I'm limited twice. One, I guess if I'm going to use numerical nomenclature, I'm inhibited by being in a wheelchair in the first place, and then doubly inhibited by not being effective in the wheelchair. So something about my movement or my trajectory in life is being inhibited. So then I have to look at, well, why Barbarella? Why my barber? Why her? When there are thousands of people in my life that I could have chosen to dream about. And I look at what's the same between she and I. She is a brand looking to expand her reach into the media. This is something that I know about her. She's not just a barber. She's also she works in the entertainment industry. She's got a lot of people interested in her as a kooky kind of character, and sort of take advantage of this in the media. And, well, what's so about me in the media? Well, I'm a person in the media. I have a book deal right now that's in process of being discussed. And I am feeling desirous of this book deal to be completed and finished. I haven't heard yet. What a perfect example of feeling like I'm inhibited, not once but twice,
Spinning your wheels.
Forward movement.
Spinning your wheels.
I'm spinning my wheels, waiting for the email. I had a really important meeting last week, and the meeting went really well, and so I'm anticipating a favorable outcome. And hence the dream was joyful and fun, so it wasn't like a bad dream of like, oh, my God, I'm not getting anywhere. It was joyful and fun because I think my unconscious is anticipating a favorable response to this particular deal.
Or a shave
but I haven't
and blow
heard yet,
dry.
and I'm spinning my wheels while I wait.
And a shampoo. Get a shampoo thrown in as well.
So what I love about what you do, Michael, is that the perspective you come at it A lot of times when we dream, and the dream, dreams of death, dreams of falling, dreams that are scary, people tend to go into a negative interpretation. And what I like about what you do is you choose your interpretation and choose from a vantage point that's empowering, right? That's the A, or to use the numbers nomenclature. That's number one. Number two.
Is that small?
Small one.
Little
The big A, little A, right? Number two is this ability to follow clues, to, tap into a reservoir of sort of below the waterline hints or glimpses of what's possible that can guide us in our waking life, which to me is tremendously valuable.
And to me.
Yeah.
And to me, to your first point, I believe strongly that our dreams are for us, not against us. That we are constantly expanding in our consciousness because consciousness only moves in one direction, and that is forward. We are only expanding. And therefore, a moment in a dream, even if it's showing us something scary or terrifying or dark, it still has to be serving us in our unfolding consciousness because that's the consciousness we live in.
Yeah, but I like it, and I agree with you in the sense that that's the interpretation you're going with, right? So it's almost like I have threads of interpretation at any given moment. And my sense of consciousness is the ability to hold multiple threads at the same time, yeah, and sort of opt into one thread, one potentiality versus another. The greatest, of course, would be the ability to hold them all and perhaps choose none, which is just to really be in the vibration of the feeling state of all of it without feeling like I have to organize, delineate, control any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful description of, some unattainable.
Well, unattainable, I don't know. I mean, so far, I tend to want to make up stories about stuff, but there's a possibility, and there's moments where I forget to make up stories, sort of ecstatic moments, and I'm really in the moment, and I'm not trying to frame it or interpret it or analyze it or fix it or bend it or twist it, to make myself feel better or to get the outcome I want to get. There are these organic sort of fluid flow moments where, it just is what it is.
One of the reasons why I like the word interpretation is because it's not finite. It's not a landing. It's not an analysis where we try to make meaning of something and, this means that, and then I'm stuck with that idea.
Right.
An interpretation is more fluid than that. This is what makes sense for me now, and I can be with this idea that, I'm feeling a little inhibited or stopped in my movement, and that's okay. I can roll with that sensation, as opposed to what some people would do would be, the email hasn't come. This must mean it's never going to happen, and everything I'm doing in my life is a failure.
Right. Not helpful.
Not helpful.
Barnett,
and not true.
Thoughts on that?
Not helpful.
That's it. He's barely awake. He was really committed to this dreaming thing. He was really going to try to catch.
I was actually funny. I was actually contemplating as you guys were speaking. There are many who suggest that all of consciousness is a dreaming. That there are only dreamings.
Yes.
And I'm interested in your thoughts on that.
I love the idea that consciousness itself is a dream, and we have, when we are sleeping, dreams within dreams, and perhaps what we call our reality or our waking consciousness is simply a dream within the dream of the many levels of dreaming, this thing called reality. Very often when someone has a spiritual awakening, look at there, right there is the word, awakening. It's like waking up. And within our waking life, in our chronology, we can have many moments of waking up to higher levels of consciousness and awareness. And as we do that, we experience more grace and more ease through life because we're not so weighed down by the circumstances and making meaning of them, but sort of appreciating that, hey, this is all a dream. I'm making this up as I go along. Maybe I have more creative power than I'm giving myself credit for. I can choose differently. I can choose to see and feel something differently because it's all just a dream. I find there's great freedom in that.
Isn't there a tribe like in Peru or something that sees the sleeping dream as reality and the waking dream as illusion? I think they're in Peru.
There's always one in Peru.
They're not in Peru. They're somewhere. So listen, we need to take a break.
We're going to step away for some words from our sponsors, and then we're going to come back with Michael, and we're going to talk about getting lucid in living as well as in dreaming. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness, thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
Welcome back. This is Barnett. I'm here with Freeman and our guest, Dr. Michael Lennox. So wake up, everyone. If you've been dreaming, this is your chance to find out what's going on below the ripples of your mind. God, we sound like coast to coast now, right?
That was nice. I liked it.
Yeah, in case anybody over there is listening, any producers are listening, we do sound an awful lot like
They're on this station.
They are on this station.
We used to be before them.
So, Michael.
Yes.
You are probably very used to having people ask you to interpret their dreams for them. And we've spoken a little bit today and in the past, so I know that there is some value in that, and there is also a great deal of value in empowering people to begin to look at their own dreams and to identify their own patterns, their own narratives, their own kind of default settings, their own blueprinting, life blueprinting that shows up and can be sometimes more readily identified in dreams. How do you respond to people when they come to you asking for tools to become self-empowered around their dream life?
Well, it's ironic, Barnett, because on the one hand, when I interpret a dream for somebody, whether it's at a cocktail party or on the radio, there's this very satisfying aha that the dreamer usually has because there's an identification with what I'm saying. I tap into universal wisdom. I speak an interpretation based on the symbols, and they go, wow, that makes sense. And yet, what I'd really like people to do is to not have to make meaning of their dreams, because the dreams don't need any help from us. They are a beautiful conversation between our souls and our consciousness that is organic in and of itself. So in a way, what I'd really like to be is fired.
Okay, you're fired.
You're fired.
Yay!
You're fired. Who else can we get on now for the rest of the show?
That's right.
So I find
me. Somehow I want to get fired, but still paid.
Well, listen, we'll send you a check.
Check is in the mail.
So I
But you
know.
understand that truly,
Yeah.
the dream, if the dream has a consciousness of its own, it
Yes.
simply wants to be recognized, like the 7-year-old at the pool who's just jumping in, but constantly says, hey, Ma, watch.
So I have noticed in my own creative process that I have established a line of communication with with some of my dream states.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And I ask it questions. I'm deliberate about holding things that I want some clarity on, or that I want some insight on as I go to sleep. And invariably, if not the next day, within a day or two, something pops in. Some insight, some understanding, some set of connections that leads to something greater than the sum of the parts, some chance crossing of unexpected things. And I am aware that lots and lots and lots gets crunched in my dream states.
Yeah, I think you're talking about what I would estimate as the most valuable relationship a person can have with their dreams, is to recognize that there is an inherent wisdom that we all abide in that's often very difficult for us to understand or interpret because our mind is so in the way, that rational mind that thinks it's supposed to figure everything out. But the dream state is freed of that mind. And when you simply say to yourself before you go to bed, hey, higher self, I'm struggling with this creative project or this relationship issue. Give me some insight. Let me receive some wisdom in the dream state, and make it clear, by the way, because I'm a little obtuse.
I love it. You know, I have to thank you, Michael, because that actually is something, this whole idea of directing my dreams or going to my dreams as a resource is something you introduced me to, I don't know, probably 3 years ago or whenever it was that we were working together. I remember when we had Thomas Hubel on Barnet, and he was talking about an orientation towards seeing people's potential, right? And even a practice of that, practice glimpsing potential in people and sort of promoting that. And I remember there was a family member who I was struggling with, and she's gotten, how do I say it? She's gotten heavy, but she's also gotten kind of embittered. And in my dream, I saw her as a younger person, and I saw how much life and energy and how joyful. And I saw her in this way of this thread of potential. And it was a great way of resolving the struggle I was having with her. And this, again, organizing towards how do I want to see? How do I want to view her? How do I want to relate to her? I want to relate to her at the level of potential versus this sort of not so helpful way of relating to whatever's going on for her that I'm getting all bent out of shape about. So anyhow, that was directly related to our work, Michael. And then I remember that moment and sort of being able to work with how do I want to relate to this family member and doing that.
What a beautiful setup right here, just between the two of you, that Freeman, you just expressed the power of using the dream state to actually work through your own moments of criticism and judgment.
Yes.
To release. At first, you were seeing her through, her weight and her embitteredness must mean this. I have a button around that, therefore I'm seeing that through my judgment. The dream allowed you to go to the truth of her, which is not that. And then, Barnet, you talk about incorporating your relationship to your soul in your creative process. Oh, my gosh, there's nothing yummier than that. I think that's incredibly exciting and attractive when I meet or hear or speak with someone who is an avid and active creator who is remembering to bring their soul and their higher self into their creative process. How delicious is that?
It is delicious. I think my favorite thing about dreaming currently is that it opens a window for me, a window to maybe, it's a window that allows me to hold the way I hold reality a little bit looser. There are these times when I have these dreaming insights of stacked dreams, when you have like multiple narratives and they're all stacked inside the same sort of time. And there's also this sense that things move in this quicksilver fashion in dreaming because there are different dreams have like different courses for different horses. There are different time tracks and different space tracks. There's an entirely different relationship that I have with the imaginal in the dream, and it allows me to lighten the structure that I hang on to in my daily life. It allows me to know, not all consciousness is quite as tightly bound as I have been holding it, and sometimes it inspires me to hold it so much more loosely that surprising and wonderful things happen.
Yes, the mind that we watch our life's movement through is overused by all of us. That mind that
Say
we
more
think
about
is
that.
us, it's really just there to make us stop bumping into each other.
Say a little more about that.
Well, the the rational mind, the I am here, I know myself, I see you, we're walking through this together. Oh, it's cold outside. Oh, I should turn left. Oh, this is a bad thing. Oh, this is a good thing. We let this one sliver of our experience, our mind, govern everything. And it is rigid, it is limited, and it is misused.
Brilliant.
It is designed to say, it's cold out, put on a sweater, and that's it.
Give Michael a raise, Freeman.
We're sending the check now. The imaginative quality.
That's the heart.
Yeah, the loosening that Barnett was talking about, and even the directing. Look, I think of John Lennon's song "Imagine," right? And of course he says, "You may think I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one," right? But the idea that we can imagine. Again, a possibility or a potential, and promote that. In our own personal dreams, yes, but even the collective dream. It's like, again, the language interpretation. Here's the interpretation that I think is going to serve us. And so here's the dream I'm presenting that is born out of the ability to imagine something that our rational mind is not apt to go to, right? Because the rational mind is going to track back. It's usually going to go back and grab a piece of the past, throw it forward, and call it the future, right?
Right.
So there is this capacity to dream, if you will, in this imaginative way that would be very helpful.
Remember, John Lennon didn't say, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not. He said, you may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
Right.
Meaning, yes, I am.
Yeah.
I am dreaming this life, and so are you, and together we can dream up magnificent.
Yeah, and the imaginative quality that we're going to play with, and Barnett, you talk about this a lot, that the imagination so often is structured. It's the imagination of the four options. Well, that's not imagination. If every song is a repurposing of someone else's song and every poem is someone else's poem, we've just repurposed it, then the imaginative capacity has been, in Barnett's language, diminished. And so the game is, can we imagine and can we dream in a again, without having to attach meaning in this very narrow way.
We live in that way, Freeman. We live inside a three-dimensional experience of height, width, and depth, and are increasingly becoming intimate with entirely another dimension of experience that we have heretofore disregarded or dismissed, which is the imagination itself. In which there are no bounds of time, there are no bounds of space, and it is no more or less real than tuning to three dimensions. But it is more empowered because you don't leave the three dimensions behind; they come with.
They come with.
But to be lucid, to be lucidly aware. And I'm sure that many of our listeners can point to moments in their own waking or waking dreaming experiences of being aware in dream states, aware that their beliefs and their feelings are the same. We don't necessarily drop our entire character set when we are in dream states, however they may show up, as opposed to our day-to-day states, although we may change our values around them, or we may change our character around them, but we don't change our fundamental our fundamental blueprinting.
That's beautiful. I think we still are who we are, but we are in the much bigger part of who we are, which is, as you said earlier, truly expansive and creative. And
the play quality. One of the things that I love about you, Michael, as a personality, is that you play. This is the nature of, if you're going to hang out with Michael, it's going to be fun because he likes to play. And even playing with interpretation, playing with the various ways I could look at this. There's a quality of what would be fun, what would be a fun way to view it.
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
This whole thing is supposed to be fun. Why are we all so miserable? It's supposed to be joyful.
Hey, you're the one in the wheelchair.
But we were having fun.
Exactly.
Hey, listen, I want to jump ahead because you said something at the very beginning I'm curious about. I know you've been working on the parenting guide, the children's parenting guide. Is that the book that's up for?
No, that's the horrible book that I can't seem to ever finish.
Oh, forgive me. That was the bad dream. Sorry.
Well, it's a great idea, and it just isn't heartfelt yet. So I've got about 4 chapters of that, and that's called Not Just a Dream. It's designed for parents how to be more intimately connected with their children's dreams. So I have a book coming out in May called The Welland's Complete Dictionary of Dreams. So I have a second book coming, and I'm very excited about that. I finished it up a couple of months ago. It's in production now, and you'll see it on bookshelves in the spring of next year. And the third book deal is an illustrated book, and I can't talk about it.
Okay, so the next book is coming out in May, which, of course, we'll have to have you back when that is out. Please tell our audience, because we're coming up on the end of the segment, where they can get a hold of you, get more of your info, and stay attuned to what you, Dr. Michael Lennox, are doing.
Absolutely. MichaelLennox.com is the website, and I urge you, if you want to go to MichaelLennox.com, you can sign up for my newsletter. I do not inundate, but I write articles about astrology and new moons and full moons and dreams and dream interpretation. I'm also, all over Facebook, both as Michael Lennox and as Perchance to Dream.
Fantastic.
You don't even have to be awake to do that, folks.
Yeah, you sort of do.
All right. I will attest to how great your newsletter is. It is a gift every time I receive it, and so it is something I recommend that our audience do. Michael, thank you so much for spending a little time with us.
Glad to have you with us today.
Oh, lovely, guys. Had a blast.
All right, my friend. And for those of you listening, I invite you to stay tuned because we'll be back after these messages to wrap things up here on Cutting Edge Consciousness.
Welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness, thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
And we're back here on Cutting Edge Consciousness. Freeman Michaels here with a just awakening Barnet
morning.
Band. Good morning.
Dream.
No, don't sing. Don't sing, please.
Don't sing.
Michael's fun.
He is fun. I love that dream song.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. Spence, you know the dream song? Dream, sweet dream. Come on, how's it go? Come on.
No.
Leave me swinging.
Not that way, he said. Not that way. Doesn't go like that, Barnet.
Doesn't go like
the
that.
words are that, but the harmony is not. Or the tune.
Close enough.
All right, so
Yep.
what are you gonna say next? I love it. I love the dreaming and the waking dream and the.
I love flying in my dreams.
Yes. Oh, we should have asked Michael about flying.
Let's get him on. Let's get him back. He's still working on Barbarella in the wheelchair. I don't want to have him lift off prematurely.
That's right. He's still enjoying that dream.
He is.
I love a dream where you wake up and you go, "That was great." We don't want it to end. You lay there in that kind of in between awake and asleep state, kind of hanging on to the tropical island you're on, or whatever the heck's going on.
The smell of
kind of like your vacation.
Oil. Yeah.
It's like the dream is so good. It's like, why do I have to wake up? Why can't I stay on this? Which actually, brings about a question that in the lucidity and the ability to sort of navigate the feelings, we can sort of dream ourselves a more enjoyable experience than in the harsh, less lucid, more programmed dream state.
Which is which?
Well, it's a good question.
We do have, in my experience, this is anecdotal, of course, but the various nocturnal dream states are more flowing. They are less constricted. And we have less nightmares there than we do driving around West Los Angeles.
Well, so the moving back into lucidity, which feels like moving back into choice. When I say choice, I don't want to get into the control game. I'm just saying preference. Just there's an array of stimuli that we could ride. There's an array of feelings and thoughts and whatever. The lucidity is the navigating between them. Just navigating towards what we prefer. The fun, joy, even in the sort of what might be perceived as negative.
Constrictive.
Yeah, well, but even some of the ways that, so look, I've said many times that grief for me has a deep joy in it for the celebration of the life that I'm no longer going to experience in the same way when someone passes on. That I'm not welcoming it, but when it arrives, I go, oh, we're grieving. And I've had some really sort of epiphany moments in grief, you know?
Well, I think that you're speaking to a truism that inside the most constrictive, the quote-unquote, the most darkest experiences, there is a light. And the converse is also true. Inside the most expansive, light-filled experiences, there is darkness.
Yeah.
And how we calibrate to those tells the tale. But in the various dream states, we have so many dream states. You know, we have meditative states, they're dream states, and we have waking dream states, and we have various nocturnal dream states, and all at different levels of a frequency, and endless dreamings upon dreamings upon dreamings. But in our nocturnal dream states, it is more clear to me anyway that effects lead to causes, and not the other way around.
That's the lucidity factor.
Yeah, and so it follows likewise that in my waking dream, although I have it so compressed and so stretched out into a straight line and turned inside out and upside down, I play the game here that cause leads to effect, that it's all about snowballs rolling downhill. And the dream is very accommodating. A dream will
That's right.
Where whatever you are looking for, you will find.
That's right. So the lucidity, for a dark moment, for example, the lucidity would be the ability to perceive light in the darkness versus really identify with how dark it is and get real all victim-y about it and, exaggerate that part of the ride. One of the things about what you said previously, we've talked a lot about how the straight line is becoming less and less sort of bearable. The cause leads to effect because it creates these ridiculous peaks and valleys that are not necessary, right? There's another way of navigating.
They're developmental.
Right. So, okay, they may be necessary in the sense that they're developmental.
And guarantees,
right.
And this leads to that, leads to this, leads to that, and it's a tyranny because we select into that structure. And even though we may pay lip service to the fact that I may pay lip service to the fact that I don't like this or it doesn't work, I am loath to completely let it go.
Right.
Because when I completely let it go, it does signal the end. It is a death of a way of relating to all that is.
That's
which
brilliant.
Is really the only, all control. All feeling at the effect of, all sense of blame, all sense of excuse making, all sense of the past in the way that I've held it. And for all the ambivalence I have around stories, to really cut free of stories altogether, that's, I really have to have my top 10 to trot out at when things happen, to explain why things happen, as the book goes, why bad things happen to good people or good things happen to bad people. Or I like to ground it. I'm used to grounding it in a certain kind of logic. And in the dream states, that logic is very loosey-goosey. And past narratives all but disappear. Very often I find myself in dreams knowing that I am me, but at a different age, much older, much younger, with totally different life circumstances. The other night I dreamed I was like about 28 years old, and single, and I had never actually had a marriage. I'd never had my family. That can be quite disconcerting.
Right.
If you're bound, if one is bound and determined to cling to a narrative.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, it's challenging. You're right. The idea of what if all the stories I've bought into and created, if I were really just to put them down, if I were to...
And we do every night.
And we do every night. And so there is something...
Or we would be insane.
Right.
I mean, it is a gift that it's wired into the game of being alive, or we would be insane. It's just way too much to iris down the entire of creativity and creation into a straight line and not go psycho.
Yeah.
We return to the truth every night. We have different beta states, of course, and everybody is aware that there's REM sleep, and there's no actual dreaming that we're aware of anyway, but there is a literal a storm, an electrical storm of such ferocity firing back and forth between the hemispheres of our brain, calibrating and recalibrating our neuronal structures because the night gives back so much more than the day takes away. We are revived and put back into the game so that we can come to the realization that there is a lot more than the straight line going on.
The lucid life.
A lucid life. Lucid, not just lucid dreaming, but as you say, lucid living.
It's wonderful. It's really wonderful. And this whole thing about the putting stories down, the nature of the moment-to-moment experience of watching an interpretation come up, watching the straight line, as it were, come up, and all you were talking about earlier, I don't remember, I think it was in the conversation with Michael, is just about loosening that. And so I love this idea of going into the dream state to return to the truth, return to a more lucid experience, and then the intention to bring that into the waking dream so that it can be more lucid too, for me, is very empowering.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me until I just heard you say loose and lucid.
I love that too.
So, again, it's part of the nature of the dreaming that it has a sense of humor.
In the reverse of making sense, right? One of the challenges of the linear, the straight lining everything is I got to make sense of this versus the sensing. That there's another little game in there.
The great mystic David Byrne knew all those fives of years ago, tens of years ago, that the powerful path is the one where you stop making sense.
I love that. And start sensing.
And start sensing.
Yeah.
Yes. Stop making sense and start sensing.
Yeah.
And those are the calibrations.
I think
I'm
great
operating at this sort of frequency of flow or care or optimism, or this sort of frequency of exuberance, this sort of frequency of hopefulness, this sort of frequency of passion or compassion, as opposed to how often do I just by default operate at the level of worry or blame or seeking vindication or pessimism or anxiety, just by default, waiting for the other foot to drop.
Right.
It's just a default mechanism supported by a lot of story. To become empowered enough to recognize that and to let go of the story and to choose, as you say, to choose a different frequency grid.
I mentioned earlier the Thomas Hubel show. Thomas, how you pronounce it? Thomas.
Hubel.
What I love that he said is that whole, you remember we was talking about the rope? It's like we're on this rope, and every time we put our foot down, we have faith that there will be a rope there, that will be something, right? And that's I'm not making sense of this. I'm sensing and allowing the sensing to, show up as experience.
Because it shows up whether you have faith or not.
Right. Right.
You're still generating it moment to moment because there only is the moment. And we have insight into that in the dream states.
Yes, we do. And the
Time kind of
and the intensity, which you love to say, intense. The intensity, yeah, the intensity of the felt experience in the dream. Often the dream, and this was so beautifully illustrated in your movie, in What Dreams May Come, in the technicolor element, the brightness, the sharpness, the dramaticness of the felt experience can be so powerful. You know, you wake from a dream sometimes just, vibrating with like, whoa, what was that? And I've had those experiences in my waking dream, but there is a tendency in my experience to numb those down, right? Like, instead of allowing
to fit them into our story,
to make sense of them versus sensing them, right? Stop making sense and start sensing, right? That's such a great line for me, because I've had those flow moments and gone, I forgot to make sense of this, and it was great. And then afterwards, I have to go make sense of it, what you call tracking back to the reservation. All right, let me go make sense of this. Don't do that, Can I really just have a fluid, lucid experience without having to crunch it down to such a small story, such a small definition of what it means or what the implications are? I don't know is the back end of that. I don't know. I mean, part of me recognizes, well, that's possible, but then my day-to-day experience is, I got to make sense of this.
Sort of both and.
Let's go with both and. Well, let's also go with
the ratio. The ratios are changing.
Yeah.
It is both and. There was a point of consciousness that I experienced where it wasn't both and. I was pointed in only making sense of things.
Right.
And now I'm aware that I've recalibrated to both and I'm also aware that I'm focused on changing the ratios. Less, let's make sense, and more, can I flow? And when something really happens out of left field, something really wild, then, the whole mind kicks in and says, well, let me figure out how this happened.
Right.
This is.
You realize there's a whole audience that's like decided this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they've all checked out. No, because they've checked out. They've already checked out by now.
We got a great compliment recently.
Yeah.
Someone wrote in and says, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I love listening to you, which was so great.
That's
we don't
good.
either. Thanks for tuning in. All right, we're at the end of this segment, the show. Frankly. But you know what?
We got to go home now. I'm so tired.
If you enjoyed it, Bernard has to go have a nap, have a sleep, have a dream.
I need to have a dream.
All right.
For a chance to dream.
All right. For
So
those
if
of
you enjoyed this show, what do you do, Freeman?
tune in again.
Yes. And what else do you do?
Keep coming back.
And what else do you do?
And tell your friends.
Exactly. That's the
And like
hatchet.
us.
And like us.
All
We
right.
need to be like us.
Take care now.
Bye.